right, the BrandFathers are convening, kicking off the year. We are now in this new recorded format, so you can't interact with us live, which, sorry for y'all, but it means more people can listen. But this week we are going to talk about the controversial Equinox campaign. Is Equinox ripping children away from their fathers? We are going to talk about Sweet Green's anti-seed oil crusade. We are going to talk about Notion and Snoop Dogg coming together for one document app to rule them all. A couple sports media masterpieces, Alex Cooper's Unwell hitting Target shelves, and all these other things that are happening in the marketing world. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing? What did you have to drink this morning, beverage-wise?
We're on a triple shot cappuccino, standard beverage.
SoCal Speed.
SoCal Speed. So it takes 18 minutes to get that cappuccino.
Ashwin was comparing the cappuccino speed of a New York City cappuccino with a Orange County cappuccino.
You could get 9 cappuccinos in New York City faster than you can get one in an empty coffee shop.
And you can get
Southern California.
9 of those as fast as it takes Jordan to make his cup to get on the
his pour over 30 minutes later.
I am so sorry. I have my pour overs. We started talking about Ashwin was in the group text saying that he was getting his coffee, and Oren said, "Hey brother, we have barista level vibes here at the house," and that reminded me of the Onyx Coffee container that we got, which we really should do a deep dive on, to be honest. It is
you guys have those boxes
best in
around
class.
everywhere?
I think mine's like sitting here somewhere nearby.
Mine's at my coffee bar inside. Honestly, y'all, this is a best in class example. Oren and others have talked about advent calendars. If you're a coffee snob or a coffee lover like I am literally starting my day for the last, 3 weeks. Oren has it right here. Shout out Onyx.
That's sick.
It is a accordion-like coffee experience. Each day, Ashwin, then you scan a QR code, and it tells you there's 25 days and 25 different types of beans. You scan a QR code, and it takes you to a page, which we should actually, I'm just going to bring it up right now since we're on the vibe. So let me just bring this up.
Such a good box.
Oh, it is incredible. So it's a 2024 coffee advent calendar. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Jordan, is that you?
Okay. What's that?
Nothing.
Oh,
made a joke,
I'm
but you
not
might
on
be
here.
one of the characters.
So you have 24 days of coffee. You can filter through. So you go through here, and then let me see which one I was on today. I was on Framley, actually, number 1. So you would go down. They have a barista who is usually a barista world champion or something, is going to then tell you about the bean, tell you the process that they will go through to make it, which is obviously pretty involved. And they have like a grind calculator and everything. It is one of the best examples of a brand thing that I've honestly ever seen. And
Were you watching this while you were making your pour over?
No, I had already made this earlier today, and I just had the second half of the beans. And so, unfortunately for y'all, I started to make this, and it just took me a little bit longer. I also have we're snowed in.
You were respecting the craft.
I am respecting the craft. You can't rush greatness. We're snowed in here in Dallas, Texas, and my kids are running all over the place. We've got dogs. It's crazy. But this really got me thinking, y'all. I have a friend of mine who's leading the marketing at this company called Legitimate, and they are a tech platform. It's like a NFC, and it's basically built into footwear or clothing, and you can scan it, and it allows you to have this ongoing experience through a brand. And they have some cool examples of putting it in a jersey or a kit, and then you scan it. You could do it as a DJ, a music artist. They have one through some footwear that allows you to scan and have this relationship. And honestly, this Onyx Coffee box has reminded me of having a daily experience with a brand. I'm literally starting my day every day with Onyx and this brand experience. It's really got my wheels turning for what brands could be doing with this involved daily experience. I don't know if y'all have seen other
Does this
examples
tie
of
really well into starting your day with Equinox, or is that
Well, you have to commit to something.
Yeah.
So the Equinox. So we have two. So obviously, January 1st, everyone's doing their New Year, New You campaigns of various sorts. Equinox has launched their Commit to Something campaign. Commit to Something has been like a line that they have been pushing for quite some time. Last year, I want to say last year was the first year that they did it where they did not allow new signups on January 1st. They took out a full page ad in some, I believe, New York City paper, maybe New York Times. And they're basically talking about how like Equinox doesn't believe in resolutions. And I think conceptually the campaign idea was very strong last year. The copywriting left much to be desired. But I really liked the idea of the campaign itself. And there were negative reactions to it. But I think, as we all talk about in a variety of ways and often, being polarizing and speaking to a specific audience that is for you versus not for you can really work in your favor as a brand. So the fact that this was maybe alienating to some people, it's not totally, and I'm not talking about this campaign, I'm talking about last year's campaign. It was alienating to some people, I think was totally fine. But then this year they launched this Commit to Something. They have,
Classic African-American baby play.
Very, very classic guy in play here. And I don't know what they are communicating here, but it was like, you can see in the comments, a lot of people were like,
I'm pretty sure I know what they're communicating here, which is that if you want to be a good father, being a good role model and being in shape is a awesome way to do that. And then having your child participate in that is also a good way to do that, which is something that I believe in. But then, of course, we have the DEI mafia in here being like, you're,
Yes.
showing these stereotypes of X and Y, which back to that original point is like Equinox doesn't care about any customer except the people that are willing to go overboard to be beautiful and have the resources with which to commit to that, which has a zero Venn diagram overlap with people that are offended by this photo.
Yes, that is accurate. Go to the scroll through.
What are the next
panels here.
two? Yeah, what are the next two? I get the
I don't know what
nuances.
this is.
Cupping and the red light mask, right?
And then what's the needle? What's the needle?
It's not. That's
Dry
a cupping
needling?
machine, right? Not a needle.
Oh, that's the cupping machine. Okay.
Yeah, that's the fancy cupper. We gotta get you
And
guys
is this
into
just-
some premier
Here
SoCal
they're
wellness
having
out
sex
here.
on turf.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is just the overtly sexual, don't want it, just need it type thing.
Yeah, which was honestly one of my least favorite of the of the Equinox campaigns of the last few years. I actually really like Commit to Something. I really love this idea of like you can't sign up on January 2nd. I did not like the super sexualized eating fruit campaign. I thought that was
Yes, that's still in the windows of some Equinoxes. Yeah, that one.
I think my favorite was, I forget, it was like make yourself a gift to the world or something like that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was a 10 out of 10 campaign. Because I do think there are like a certain, there is a certain, and this whole original Commit to Something. And maybe we can step one step back here. I've always loved brands that do ongoing themed campaigns and who make that a thing and who then say, hey, what's their campaign going to be for this year becomes a thing that people ask about and talk about and begins to own the conversation is a good example of like how your brand can literally create out of thin air a cultural experience, especially now that they're like 9 years deep into doing campaigns.
Yeah. I do agree. This Commit to Something is like, do we know the agency who's doing all this? Like,
Equinox is all internal.
is it?
Yeah. As
No, there's got to be some. There's got to be some ad
I'm sure someone's doing
agency.
the art direction and everything, but I thought all campaign. I mean, I know this last one, the One It All or whatever, was done by your boy, right? I think he was the
I think Will
primary
was involved
on
in
that.
that. Yep.
And so obviously people are doing the art, but I'm pretty firmly believe that they are. A lot of that was internal concepting.
Shot by fashion photographer Stephen Klein.
I will say I'm a one-issue Equinox participant. There are two amazing Equinoxes by my house, but they're both closed at like 9. And
Huge problem. A
yeah.
huge problem. Commit to being open later. I think that's what next year's campaign should be. Open later, open earlier. It is crazy that it closes in New York City at 8 p.m. on Fridays, weekends. The morning it opens at 5, fine, 5:30. Could go earlier.
This is Wyden and Kennedy. We discussed them on our show yesterday, but yeah, big budget, big ad agencies here. Fascinating.
So I think so. So on one hand, we have this campaign that, whatever. A lot of people, it doesn't fit their style. It feels exclusionary. That's totally fine. let's look at one that feels more inclusive and really, frankly, speaks to their audience, which is that Zumba ad.
Okay.
If we have that one.
This one.
Yep.
All right, ready? Let's see if this audio works.
I'm so bloated. Why did I wear crop top? I am the oldest person in here. Fart, don't fart, don't fart.
Why am I sweating already?
When did I get so old?
Red food?
Say it. Say it.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Now everybody say it.
I'm sexy and I know
Say it. Believe it. Find a Zumba class for you. Yeah, baby.
They really brought LMFAO out.
They brought him out, speaking to the audience, even older audience going in there. There's recognition with that song, but then you open it up by tapping into, Jordan, I think you were mentioning this a lot yesterday, like tapping into the insights of what the consumers feel when interacting with your brand or service. And so in this case, you have a lot of men, women who go into this and are kind of like self-conscious during class of like, I'm sweating, I'm farting, I'm gross, I'm blah, 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 blah. And they're just kind of leaning into that. And they're like, no, this is it's totally normal for you to look and behave and be this way in our classes. You don't need to come in here in like, perfectly matching gear, completely spotless, not sweating, not farting, not doing anything gross. So they're kind of speaking to their audience and making a much more like comfortable environment. Total kind of like polar opposite of what you see from Equinox.
How happy is LMFAO to get any check?
Is that who that guy is? Red Food?
Yeah.
He's one half of LFMAO.
Yeah, they only got the one guy. They only got Red Foo. He and I have a history. I'm not going to go into it.
We'll go into Oren's Atlanta DJ phase some other time, but amazing. Yeah, I mean, this is the funny thing about January 1st. I spent a lot of time, at Nike, we were thinking about this, particularly during my time with women's, is like, do you go super aspirational like Equinox? Do you like take a hard edge and go, hey, get off your butt, let's go do something? Or is it like, hey, this is a safe space. It's okay to be self-conscious. It's okay to like be not okay. Just come join us and do this thing. And, every brand's got to figure that out for themselves. But
No, this is very on brand for them and seems solid.
Yeah.
It's a good campaign.
Yeah, totally for Zumba, for sure.
Is there anyone talking about any other fitness campaigns right now, or are those the two dominating the conversation? Because it does seem like if you are a fitness brand and you're not in this conversation, I know I saw Ladder had, what's his name? Stavos.
Yeah.
Doing the like something fairy. That's the only other one I
The
can
Quitters
think of.
Fairy,
The Quitters Fairy.
Because there's there is Quitters Day, which I think is the 19th or something, like 2 weeks into January. So they got Stav in here as the Quitters Day Fairy, which I think is great.
Yeah, he's funny.
Second Friday in January, we get Quitter's Day. That lady's ass is gigantic. You're never going to be there. You have regular butt your whole life, and that's okay. I'm Carl, the Quitter's Day Fairy. Quitting's sort of my thing. I've been doing it since I was a young fairy. Didn't reach even an eighth of my potential. The only thing I've never quit is helping other people quit stuff. Kind of a philosophical paradox, honestly.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But other than that, that's the only other campaign besides Equinox and Zumba that I can name. As like a person who should be targeted by any premium gym experience.
Yeah, I've seen Apple Run. Apple Run.
What is Apple Run, dog?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Jordan out here in the real niche.
No, hold on. Apple
Jordan out
did
here with
the
Google Pixel Run Club.
Apple did. I don't know. They've got an ad running on television right now. That's the Apple Watch. That's basically like, they cite. But by Tuesday, Blue Tuesday, we used to call it, was people will give up on this resolution, and the Apple Watch is going to be the key for you to not give up. So that's the only other one I've been.
Have y'all seen this conversation about if Apple Watches should be allowed at weddings, and then like all these brides being like absolutely not?
No, why? What?
No.
No, it's just like hey, this is like should not be. It's like non-dress code, like not appropriate. It's not formal wear. Like it's a negative signaler. This was like a big like Q4 conversation. I
can
was
get
hilarious.
behind that. I can get behind
too,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could get behind that.
Are y'all? I mean, I see Ashman's got 2 on right now. Jordan, are you Apple Watch?
I'm 2 Apple Watches and a Fitbit.
I don't wear any jewelry. And
clean
I like
wrist
to wear
club. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
my
We
wedding
do
ring
all
when
have
I can.
remarkably thin wrists for.
Yes.
Thin wrists and big heads.
What's the next?
Thin wrist, big mouths. There's something related there, probably. You know what? I should do some more consulting for Chrome Hearts, and then maybe I would wear some more
Wear some
more
Chrome.
jewelry.
The Chrome hearts are so heavy, I don't put it on until after I exit the house. All right, what's the next
Chrome
one?
Hearts is like the new heavy walking. What is it? Rucking?
Yeah, the
You
weight,
can
the
ruck
banglets.
your Chrome- Yeah, totally. Let's see. What's up next on the agenda? We had Notion. Notion is launching
Faces.
Notion is launching Faces. Okay, let's see.
Which is just, I think this is just a little fun promotional tool. Notion, I think, is has a quirky, tasteful brand. Is kind of part of their little like, hey, we're like a quirky, artful company, even though we're like a massive document behemoth. Which I think is just a nice way to just kind of like casually not feel like you're dealing with Microsoft or Google, right? And so they released Faces where you can kind of create your own face. I'm on their like extended family. I got like a little cookie set in the mail with faces on it where I scanned a QR code to make my face. But I think what was interesting about this campaign is New Year, New You, Ashman's favorite tagline. I think every time a brand uses that,
criminal charge.
He's stoked on it. And but they used what I thought was interesting was they debuted it with Snoop Dogg, which like is not the person you think of for Notion. But I think just a reminder of again like how mainstream. Like the size of the Docs apps goes literally like Microsoft, Google, Notion, right? Like that is the scale which they're playing. And they debuted it with Snoop Dogg and Corporate Natalie, which is like just an outrageous pairing of like 2 completely random individuals, but also just showing again the mainstream application of where Notion is currently at.
I couldn't find Corporate Natalie's, but it does look like people are launching. What do we need Avatar? I mean, what's the?
It's funny because that's one of those things where like you would say the same thing, and then but there's like a fucking hundreds and hundreds of people that are making their Notion avatars, and so I think it just shows you that like while we'd be like, what is happening? They're getting that insight that like people just want like a little quirky thing to do for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
that's fun for them. And I think that's a really interesting insight that that they agonized over because I have never met a team that has put so much thought into like every single thing ever than the Notion team.
No, this is pretty good. This is a good little builder.
Yeah, Tintin flow.
Yeah.
I thought you could upload your own.
No, we build them, brother. This ain't no AI. You know?
Wow, they have a lot of noses here.
Builders build. I'm trying to make mine. You know, on my profile pic.
It's already pretty close. Not gonna lie.
I know. I'm getting there.
3 days.
Yo, Jordan does kind of look like old Tintin. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, I think I've got one. Yeah, we're good.
Wow, there you go.
Well,
new LinkedIn profile dropping.
What's the takeaway here? Or the takeaway here is that these brands are basically just trying to get you some way to get involved in some way.
Yeah, I think like fun is back, but good.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is like if you look at that site that they had, it said New Year, New You. So this is just like the standard campaign that every brand is doing, right? When you're a gym, it's so obvious to say like, here's how we're going to play into it and like create a campaign around this. It's less obvious when you just are a document making app, right? How are we going to like tap into this like big cultural moment of the new year? And so they quite literally created this where they're like, hey, it's a new you. You can just like go build yourself.
I also think they're creating a culture around being a Notion user because they do have like a super cult user base. Mm-hmm. They are massively adopted. All of their employees had these like hand-drawn avatars, so you would always know who they are. And now as they've launched, like they launched Notion Mail as a Gmail competitor. They obviously kind of like have their docs. They're playing in a lot of these different spaces to be like very mainstream. And I think what they're really doing here, the underlying thing is they're being like, cool, we're kind of culturally positioning like anyone with one of these avatars sort of like as a Notion person, and then you get into our ecosystem, all of a sudden you're going to see all these people that have this. They're creating a tribe in a really interesting way. It's like a really interesting branding play that no one at this scale, at their size, in the billions and billions is doing, and making it seem like a small fun company.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get the maybe the Notion will be interested in sponsoring the BrandFathers, and we'll all show up with different avatars next week.
I did just launch my first Notion template the other day, free on the template store, because I know some people that are kind of printing money on there, and I'm curious. I just did it free, but it's
What is your template?
it was like the rebrand your life template. I had my like going into 2025 like personal planning one. I did like a YouTube on that's pretty popular. It was like it's like got 20K already on the YouTube. And I just had like a template that goes with it where you can go through and like put your mood boards here, like make a personal ops plan, make a personal marketing plan, whatever. But I just kind of want to test that. Like, cool, I put links up all the time, but will people go get this from the template store? And it's like getting up 500 plus towards 1,000 downloads in there now, which is like I don't know if that's good or bad. One day maybe I'll charge for templates because I do run like a large chunk of my life. I'm like a Notion person. But I was like kind of curious how that ecosystem works just because I haven't done it before. All right, what do we got?
All right, what's next? Okay, I'm gonna bring up this one. All right, are treasure hunts back, y'all? Let's see.
Jordan baseball card. These are just some of the items up for grabs in the biggest treasure hunt America has ever seen. Bitcoin billionaire John Collins Black has spent 5 years curating a bounty worth millions of dollars, and he's now hidden it in 5 treasure chests scattered across the US. He was inspired by the Fenn Treasure, a millionaire's personal collection of gold, which was hidden in the Rocky Mountains in 2010. That search lasted more than 10 years and resulted in at least 5 deaths.
All right.
Wow.
First of all,
Indeed.
have you guys?
Okay, I'm very intrigued. I'm in on this. I love it.
I agree. Did y'all listen to the Apple launched like a podcast series that was around this crazy, really eccentric millionaire who started this treasure hunt, and nobody could figure out whether it was real or whether it was not. Was he just trying to get attention? And I actually gave up on it halfway through, but it sounds like that was who they were talking about. He did put like $1 million worth of treasure somewhere, and after he died, he left these clues and like a letter, and people were like risking their lives to go get it. And it sounds like a few people actually died. But this dude, a Bitcoin billionaire, by the way, always a red flag if that's in there. Bitcoin maximalists, don't come after me. But it got me thinking, like, are treasure hunts back? Like they should be, right? I'm in on this. What are your thoughts, Ashwin?
Especially if there's risk of death.
I remember, especially, there has to be risk of death. If there's not risk of death, it's not worth doing. I remember there was, maybe it was Nugs, back in the day, did something where they did like a treasure hunt like in Madison Square Park. I remember like seeing some brands that would like hide either like dollar amounts or like product drops around the city and then make like content around it, like giving some general clues as to where the product was. Like, and when they're very high in demand and there's proximity, people will be like, hey, that's Central Park, I'm going to go check it out. I think that is a fun concept, and I think there's more to do around that.
So if you were a brand that could be putting a treasure hunt together, are we doing like the Graza hunt for the golden olive oil? What's the move?
We're partnering up with Billy McFarland. We're going down to the Bahamas. We're dropping things in the waters of Nassau, getting people to dive down to the bottom. And I say this jokingly, but this is a reality. Several years ago, I ended up on an unexpected Zoom call with Billy McFarland, who was pitching me Fire Festival 2, which was
oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Which was
bro,
crazy.
he's still cranking.
Going.
He's selling tickets
going.
to something. People
He's
are
committed
buying.
to the bit.
He is committed to it. People are somehow supporting it. This is insane. But Nike,
Huge
the only
redemption
version I
arc
have,
if he can pull it off.
it is a true redemption arc. The Fire Forgiveness Festival.
I want to interject there on that because James Camp, a friend of mine that you guys probably like let me know this through the internet. He posted the other day that he had one of these like rewards credit card things. That was like one of his prior companies back in the early 2000s.
Yes, he did.
And he was like, "Hey, I had this rewards credit card. I had to. And then everyone was always like, oh, well, we're not going to use your shitty rewards credit card because there's this other amazing rewards credit card. And it was Billy McFarland's one that went bankrupt that promised too much and didn't have any benefit. And he was like, so I'm here competing against this vaporware, which is something that I felt a lot because when I was I was the VP of marketing at a company called 3D Robotics, and we had a really popular drone with a deal with GoPro, and we were competing against this Lily drone that was like a Kickstarter that was like super viral. But we knew with like an engineering team that does drones, we're like, this can't exist. The spec that they're pushing is absolutely fake, is completely vaporware, will never exist, and it never did, even after they got funded by Peyton Manning and like all these other things. It never came to life. But retail buyers would be like, why should we put this on the shelf when we could get the lily? And I'd be like, well, you can't get the fucking lily because it's vaporware. Much back to James's thing of being like, hey, this company might have been successful if this dude wasn't just out there like absolutely. So I do feel like we should be punishing vaporware harder, like culturally, as opposed to like the Billy, if he pulls it off, redemption arc, it's like, or maybe he should just be
a piece of shit. Yeah. Just like committing one fraud after another.
Anyway.
I saw this. He said a young dude from my area was killing the game. I used to think how is he much better than me? And then he was indicted on $20 million of fraud. And James was.
There's a lot of vaporware. I remember there was this like really there was this like big story. So like in 2013, I was like working in tech. I was like very in like the funding cycles of like Silicon Valley and just like who's building what apps. And there was this guy, Lucas Duplan, who was a Stanford grad who raised $25 million from Richard Branson and a bunch of other people to build a Venmo competitor called Klinkle.
Oh,
You remember this? Yeah. And the whole concept was like your phones could be like remotely in the same space, and then you can just like wirelessly transfer money. I don't know why this was any harder than just like sending a Venmo, because the Venmo UX by that point was pretty good. But they were just like selling this dream of like air to air payments, and they're building some interesting tech that can probably have some other use cases. He became like somewhat of a hateable character. They hired all of these Stanford grads, and then like 3 years later, they still had nothing to show for the product. They couldn't build it. And then, like, the $20 million just, like, went poof.
Well, this is why you don't hire Stanford grads.
This is why you don't hire Stanford grads.
We're going to learn anything.
And then now he's, like, an investor. He's just, like, investing in shit. And it's crazy. We should... There used to be that publication that would like, punish these people.
Yeah, and then Peter Thiel bought it
because he was mad about it. And then Peter Thiel bought it. Yeah. He was pissed off about it. What was that?
Not Gawker?
Sam Biddle. Yeah. Sam Biddle was, like, the huge, like... whistleblower of all of this shit, which was great. We need to bring that back, though. Punishing people for...
for scamming people. I mean, I think that's the hardest part right now of the internet. If we were the fathers here, as we want to be your marketing mentors, young men particularly are unfortunately exposed to a lot of this. Oren, I saw you doing a bit on this saying, you met with college kids recently, and your takeaway was that they're putting a ton of money into like stupid
sports
things
betting.
Like FanDuel.
Sports betting. And time. And I was like, can I imagine if that existed when I was 21 and was a barback and was like trying to do freelance graphic design, and my time and money was going into, and they're all losing. My question was like, well, are you up or are you down? Okay, all right, everyone's saying they're up. So if you're saying you're up lightly, I know you're down, because that's how guys' mentalities work. Okay, let's amortize the hours that you have spent on sports betting for you to be up $312. Okay, do you see how this is a fucking waste of energy in a massive fashion? I just didn't understand it was like that. And the meme coin people, you're never gonna fix likely, but like the sports betting kids, I was just shocked.
I see these kids.
The meme coin culture is so dangerous, because all you need is just like one random hit, and then you think you're a genius, and you can keep parlaying this like you have some kind of skill.
Day trading. I mean, these poor kids are like, and they get it from every angle, the day trading.
I would be a complete degenerate at 21
and
years
they're putting,
old.
I know.
Didn't Delta just do a deal with FanDuel so you can like bet in the sky?
Oh, all of them. Look, hey, there's a really good. I'm a Michael Lewis stan. Michael Lewis, famed Moneyball.
Agreed. We stand Michael Lewis.
Absolutely.
We all stand. Okay, if you stand Michael Lewis like I do, his new season of Against the Rules is his podcast, and he does sports betting.
The FTX documentary and was all in. So that's my only caveat in the back of my head about Michael Lewis. But anyway.
Well, he was writing on that. I mean, he has some interesting thoughts on that, but he was writing it on that character because I think he knew like there was something different there. Anyway, his new podcast is on sports betting and how literally in the last 5 years it has taken over in the US and it is completely unchecked. And it is fascinating. Here's one of the best anecdotes. If you are on there and you are a VIP member of FanDuel or DraftKings, you're basically it's like VIPs at casinos. You're basically dumping money into them. And if you are good enough now, they have algorithms that will pick up. They will literally kick you off of the platforms if you're winning money. So if you still have your FanDuel or DraftKings account, you are by definition losing.
Losers. Yeah.
You are losers. And so young men, particularly, if you are out there, hey, time in the market
campaign on that.
is better than timing the market. Put your time and
Young women
energy
are on
into
Substack
developing
making
skills.
something of their lives, and you're out here.
Literally,
I
just
mean-
dollar cost average into Vanguard index funds. for the next
Literally,
30 years.
Vanguard index funds. The fathers should really get a finance partner that we can help people save over time.
Yeah, BlackRock.
Yeah.
DM.
That's
Ashman.
That's right. Anyway, all right. Speaking of sports, I just don't know if y'all had seen this. Maybe this last thing is Cosm. Is this new? It is a. Let me bring it up for you. But it is a souped-up sports bar. They've raised a ton of investment. I think the insight here, they've raised $250 million. Check this out. So this is a screen. Now watch.
So it's like a sports bar that's the sphere.
It's basically like a mini sphere, yes.
Sick.
Really, really interesting. They sell tickets for like $200 to $300, I want to say. Let's see, the entry price, $200 to $300, about 800 people, and you're essentially getting like a front row fan experience.
You're paying $800 for a front row experience to watch a screen?
$200.
$200 to $300.
And okay.
And
I don't know.
and
Are you going to this shit?
I would not pay that much, but I'm
I don't know.
super
I'd pay
spoiled
$200
as a
to
sports
go
fan.
to like the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl with like two friends or something like that. You know, if my team was in the NBA Finals or something like that, or like some big whatever, or like I don't know, like $200 for like, I'm kind of in. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, interesting.
I wouldn't go just casually on a Tuesday, but like again, like
I do think this is a interesting. The sports experience has gone so extreme that we're now reaching some alternatives. Like to go and try to get any decent tickets at a Dodger game or a Clippers game or a Cowboys game is $1,000. You know, if you wanted to take a family of 4, it's at minimum that. So I think this is an interesting insight to go with your buddies. It's like it's in between a sports bar.
Yeah, NBA play-in game, like Charlotte versus the Magic, and they like whoever's there is like out. I'm in. I'm going to the $200 mini sphere just to watch LaMelo Ball in fucking 4K. Let's go. You know.
Well, in fairness, you know, on a Tuesday night you could probably get into an NBA game potentially, but
you're just not there.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like you're going. It's like. I mean, I'm not going to although the Clippers arena is on my bucket list now for this year because it supposedly is outrageous. Yeah. But like, there's like a lot of games you just can't see, right? And so I'm curious how that works. But like, especially maybe able to go see like an East Coast game or like a playoff. Like, I'm not going to go deal with the bullshit to go to a stadium. Like, no,
totally. So washed. I mean, tonight the CFP semifinal is here, Texas versus Ohio State, and I'm like, I was gonna throw out some flyers. You know, I could go, and I'm like, I just don't want to sit in the trap. I'm so washed.
No,
these
apparently,
days.
the Clippers experience is so good. Like the arena experience is so good that like it's kind of like a have to go, which is interesting because I just like stopped. Like I enjoy going to a Lakers game. I don't mind the Staples. It's just if you don't have a box, we had a box for a year. It's like, you know. But then now with the Clippers, I think it might be a casual stand. We're gonna see how that goes. I have to hop on this call, but you guys should keep.
Of course you do. You should you should push that call. 15
I'm
or
every
30.
45 minutes to 30 to 60 minutes every
Well,
hour for the entire hour
Now,
every day.
I think that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This is the new iteration of the BrandFathers. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you want to see. Share this with a friend. We look forward to partaking and advancing this show with you all year.
This should be on Spotify, podcasts, and all the other things too. Hopefully with video, we're going to try and circulate this wise. Hopefully you are listening, but if you're not and you're on YouTube and you want to participate in the podcast experience, we have this on audio and whatnot there as well.
That's right. And that's it for us today. Thanks for joining.